name is Jesus Acevedo Jr. I'm joined by the one and only Zodiac GM. How are you doing on this Tuesday night, Zodiac GM?
I'm doing great, man. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. I will start out by saying, Zodiac GM, I saw you were in some spaces earlier for the first time in a while, and got it's good to know that you have the fan base of Zodiac GM is growing, but not just the fan base. I think these are, I consider these people that they're seeing a new way of looking at sports. Granted, we talk about hoopsology here, but Zodiac GM, your profile, you're all sports, and the things that you've tweeted about all sports, not just in basketball, have come true or have, and that's why I think I call people, they're starting to see how astrology can play a role in the sports that they love. Is that kind of the feeling that you've gotten now that you've been on this journey since you started as Zodiac GM?
Yeah, I think the foundation is set now. I think it's opened up a lot of people's eyes, and even organizations to a level of colleges, high school, and they definitely see it. And it's an interesting thing. It's different, right? No one has ever seen anything like this. It's the analytics at first, there's a lot of skeptics, which is fine, and it's expected too. But once you start seeing results, and the correlation, of course, nothing is ever 100%, but this correlation is strong enough to even consider as part of your analysis, right? It's never that the first analysis you go by. You have to include all your, other analysis as well. But hey, this is a big part of analytics that can be very, very helpful to connecting the human side of personalities that's within sports. So I think it's a big deal, and I think it's people are starting to realize the connection, and even learning astrology now. I've seen a lot of comments where people say, this just because of this account, I'm into astrology, that sort of stuff. And
right.
I mean, I love hearing stuff like that, because now they're seeing things. When they hear player connections, they think about, okay, what's their energy, and and they start connecting pieces that way. So yeah, I'm very, very happy for that.
That's awesome. One of the recent comments you had, I think you had retweeted, and yes, listeners, I know this is the hoopsology. We'll get to hoops in just a second, but one of the posts you had was about the Minnesota Vikings. Right, because you tweeted before the season, you were like, "There's something happening with the Vikings," because everything lined up. There were so many connections, so many air signs connections, so many, and now here we are. They're what? I'm
11-2.
11-2, and the first comment on was this guy. He said, "You just don't miss, do you?" Like,
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like with a lot of that analysis that I do, there's a lot of legwork behind the scenes. But of course, I simplify it in a post, right? But then even the colors of blue, green, and the reason why I did that is just so people can just just group them and kind of understand a lot better. Because if I start talking about energies and just right off the bat, there's a lot of people that don't understand it yet, and they're just like, hey, they just let it go. It's like, hey, that's BS or whatever. But you just simplify things. But you got to take it step by step and break it down and simplify it. That way, people can understand, and from there, they can develop their own studies that moving along to whatever, however they want to know more about astrology. But I mean, I've seen a lot of it, and I appreciate all the comments from all the followers, and I think this is a great foundation to build off from. So yeah, definitely love it.
It's definitely a great foundation that has grown, and and you talk about building it step by step, and I hear you, hoopsology listeners, and this is where I do my transition, because who also took it step by step, assist by assist, is Chris Paul. So and we're gonna kick things off with Chris Paul, who just became the second all-time leading assist getter in the NBA all time. Chris Paul, here's a player that when we were still in our prime basketball, he was, like he was still
the man.
He was the man, CP3, and
point guard.
One thing I'll never forget is, point guard, right? Like one thing I'll never forget is when he got drafted, it was, I think Deron Williams got drafted one pick ahead of him, and it was like, because it was the battle, like who's gonna be the first point guard? Because Deron Williams had a hell of a college career, and he had a solid NBA career before injuries took him away. But Chris Paul has just been very consistent, and second all time. And one thing that I stand out about me is I always noticed he was very resilient, very like I'm gonna do this kind of, And it wasn't until I found out that he's a Taurus, and that you've told me more about Taurus, I'm like, it really fits with the type of player that he is, and how he plays on the court, like his moves are very studious, very I don't want to say rigid because they're fluid, but they're very simple. He hits
Yep.
his spots. He knows where to go. But so what can you tell us about Chris Paul over his career? Some of the maybe teams that he's played with. He had his first season was in 2007. Let's just get that out the way. But 7 seasons so far, he has averaged more than 10 assists per game. Led the league in assists in 5 seasons. Like, this is a guy that I think he came second or third in one MVP voting one year. So yeah, but tell us about CP3 as a Taurus and the teams that he's played on.
Well, I think you gotta understand. Well, CP3 is a Taurus sun with a Sagittarius moon, right? So Taurus in general, they hold that stability. They're a fixed sign, right? So they're very, in a sense, predictable. If you think of someone like Tim Duncan, a Taurus, who's someone like predictable, but hey, they call him the fundamental, right? They knew what he was going to do, but he was so effective at it. And that's the thing about a Taurus. The thing about a Taurus, whenever there's a change, they're the type of energy that takes a while to actually perfect, quote unquote, perfect their craft and whatever they want to do in life, right? But the thing is, the reason why they want to perfect it, think about a bull moving slowly, right? And they move in a slow but constant pattern. Keep that in mind, constant, right? So, but once they perfect that craft, they're really good at it, and that's a good thing for an energy like a Taurus energy. You can get a sense of that. Him being a point guard, he does have that sort of safe kind of play style to him. Yes, he's consistent, he's efficient, but he's also safe in a lot of what he does, right? He's not turnover prone. I guess that's a good way to put it, right? He's not as flashy, but as some of the flashy point guards like the LaMelo Balls, the John Moran, even the James Harden, because of that energy that he brings, right? So think of someone like Tyus Jones, another one. He's a Taurus as well, and he's one of the best. He has one of the best assist to turnover ratios. So the thing with Chris Paul in his whole entire career, he's been fortunate enough to be in a team that fits his energy, that's compatible to him, and that's not a lot. Not a lot of stars actually have that luxury or has had that luxury throughout their whole career, considering he's been with several teams already. That 2017-18 Rockets was a great fit for him, like really, really good fit for him. And he did well with that team, right? Also was his Clipper days whenever in Los Angeles with the Blake Griffin. He connected well with Blake Griffin. Pisces Taurus connection worked very well. Also with JJ Redick, being a Cancer, Taurus Cancer connects very well. So you see a lot of that throughout his entire career, even with the OKC Thunder. Remember that one season with the Thunder? Kind of just like, and out of nowhere, they just made the playoffs. But they were doing good. They clicked. And people were wondering, like, why? Because that roster clicked. But no one really saw that because they saw him sort of kind of downtrending his skill. I mean, his talents or whatever it is. But Chris Paul, congratulations to him, by the way. Taurus, Sagittarius moon, very consistent energy. Another energy that's similar to his sun moon combination is Tari Eason for the Houston Rockets. So, shout out to him as well. And he's doing really, really good at, in Houston. But consider this, that type of energy combination just kind of forecast or anticipate the consistency of that type of play that you're going to get out of him. So another Taurus is Chet Holmgren, but he has a Taurus, a Capricorn moon. But Taurus in general is his play style. So you kind of get a sense he's not as flashy, but he gets the job done. So that's kind of what you're getting. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, CP3. I wonder what the odds are that he'll break the record. I don't know how far away he is, but I know John Stockton has him.
Yeah, John Stockton. And real quick, just a quick note, John Stockton, guess who is his go-to guy? Karl Malone, right? And guess what John Stockton is? Aries. And Karl Malone is a Leo. Aries, Leo. I mean, come on, you can't make this up, right? That's a strong connection itself, right? But the fortunate thing about Chris Paul, he's been with so many teams with a lot of co-1A, 1B superstars that work well with his energy.
Yeah. No, Chris Paul will need about maybe another 4,000 assists.
Ooh.
Another 4,000 assists to really get over it. Like
I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, it's tough. It's tough, But who's also been having it tough is the Denver Nuggets. So like the Denver Nuggets are 5-5 in the last game. They really recently lost to a team that had lost 16 straight. And look, when Jokic is off the floor, Nuggets have an offensive rating of 83.1 points per 100 possessions on first shot attempts. compared to when he's on the floor, where that's I think 100.5, I think 105, I think. So then it's and what I'm struggling to understand is because we know you've told us that the Nuggets have a great synergy. So
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's something else, schedule, maybe injuries, little here knickknacks. But I did want to point out something that Jokic said. He said, "In my country, where I'm coming from, after this kind of stretch, you're gonna get a paycheck that is a bit less than you are worth," said the three-time MVP, who told us, who was shared by Denver Post, Bennett Durando. He said, maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe a little motivation that way. I don't think the NBA union would allow that. Zodiac, but it's interesting to hear him say that. So just like from an astrological point, how do you see, because Denver Nuggets, they have good synergy. So
They
so
do,
what will
yeah.
be what is it, the matchups that they're using? From an astrological point, how do you see it?
Well, there's a few things that point out real quick because their rotational, their bench is actually offset synergy from their starters, meaning that they have good starting synergy overall. But consider Jokic was injured for a short amount of time, and so is Aaron Gordon. So that they had to battle through some of that. But consider, early this season they were like up there, right? And then
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon got injured, Nikola Jokic got injured. So that happens throughout to each and every team. Injuries, they face their injuries, and then what happens? They have to adjust their lineups here and there, right? And then considering Christian Braun. He's in Aries, but he's in a lineup that's with a lot of earth and water signs, right? So he's sort of an offsetting energy in that 2 position, but it still works. The starting synergy as a whole is more like an A minus. But the thing about the Nuggets is that their rotation that they utilize from the bench is kind of what throws them off because they have a lot of fire energy that they kind of utilize throughout their rotation that kind of offsets their overall synergy, meaning that they do good when they're starting units out, but when they start doing the substitution, throughout the game, they kind of falter a little bit, right? But then if you look at their whole roster, their bench is as far as for talent, because you consider all these other,
Right.
You consider everything. Their talent, they're not as talented as some of the other teams, right? They're top heavy, yeah. Jokic and also Murray's been injured too. He hasn't been playing as many games, and so they're battling through a lot of some of those limited injuries, that short time frame injuries, but that does affect their overall team synergy because they have to do a lot of adjustments here and there. But they're still hanging in there. But health, I think, as long as they're healthy, they'll be good. And I think if during a trade deadline, if they pick up an energy or two that can actually match Nikola Jokic very, very, well, along with Westbrook, as people have seen, the synergy has worked out very well, Westbrook and Jokic, right? But they need that consistency, in injuries and health, and hopefully, everything can go from there.
Yeah, I wonder because it's just, Denver relies so much on Jokic, right? And while that's always been the case, it seemed like there was always somebody else stepping up at different times, and right now it hasn't felt like somebody has been stepping up. I think I also read that when Jokic is not playing on the floor with them, their offensive rating is dead last. Now how much of that has to do with so much of the offense having to run through him? What does that say about Coach Malone? But I think, look, I think Denver's been there. They're gonna get in the playoffs, and I think they're gonna get in a row. I think there's synergy. Sometimes you're just off sync. Even when you have synergy, right? You just need a little time to get through it. But I have a feeling that they're gonna get back to it. A division, to change topics, that has got back to it, Zodiac, is the Southwest Division, and that's the division we're gonna talk about for last topic. We're gonna try and get through all teams, focus a bit on a couple teams. But the Southwest Division, Zodiac, our Houston Rockets playing the Southwest Division, and look, the top four teams in the Western Conference standings right now are all part of the Southwest Division. That is pretty outstanding. If we were to just compare all the divisions, right? That to me tells me one thing: this is a competitive division, and it feels that it always is. I feel that whenever the 3 Texas teams are all good, then the whole division is always good for some reason. There's always one team that's kind of just dragging the division, and this year I guess that's the New Orleans Pelicans, right? 5-20.
Yeah,
because even the Spurs are 12-12, a respectable 12-12, mind you. We just talked about CP3. How much has he been helpful? We'll get to them. But first, I want to talk about our hometown Houston Rockets. And so I'm gonna just get this out the way. The Houston Rockets win ugly
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know how they do it sometimes. I can't remember the guy's name. About breakdown. God, I can't believe I forgot his name. And the title of his video was "The Houston Rockets Make No Sense." And when you look at him, you see what he's talking about, right? They miss a lot of
Yeah.
shots. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, so but they went ugly. And you know why? Because they're a defense first team. And you know me. So that I love playing defense.
Yeah.
I know people don't, but I love playing defense. And to me, defense always wins games. A
Hmm.
defense not only wins games, a defense keeps you in games when your offense isn't working. And that's what's been happening with the Rockets, right?
You're
They'll be
right.
struggling
You're
to
right.
score points, but their defense is so good that the other team is not scoring points neither.
Yeah.
And look, the Rockets have been the surprise team. Did I call that out so far this season? I am correct. Yes, I
Yep.
am.
100%. Yes.
But the season still has to continue, right? We got about 23, 24 games in, about a quarter
Hmm.
of the way, give or take. So,
Yeah.
but no, it's the Houston Rockets. I wonder if they win ugly because something you've told us over and over is this team has so many fixed signs.
Yep.
So this fixed sign, they're like, we're gonna win. We don't give a how we win. We're gonna win.
Exactly.
They're
Yep.
so
Exactly.
determined
You're
to
right.
win. They're like, if this is ugly, we're gonna win. So break down
Yep.
the Houston Rockets and do you think that because of how many fixed signs they have and the mixed match, because they're not a perfect aligned team, but
You're
they're
right.
all fixed signs. Do you think that's what's driving them to get these
Exactly.
kind of games?
Yeah, and it fits them very well, and if it's so fitting that they're actually number one on defense. So the thing is with the defense, the thing with synergy is the way synergy connects as far as there's ball movement on the offense. It's a very very strong point. Now the thing on the defensive side, there's a baseline that whenever I've done the research, it's the baseline for NBA teams, right? They're in the NBA for a reason. They're in the so they're competing on that level, but the marginal it's so narrow and it's not as wide. But the thing is, there's a few teams that stand out. And once you're elite on defense, that actually, you can still win a lot of games. Look at the Spurs back then. They actually had both. They had really, really good offense and they had really, really good defense back in, when they had Tim Duncan and Parker.
Right.
And that was a fixed dominant team. But they had a little bit more synergy than what the current Rockets have, because the current Rockets have some more fixed dominant team. What do I mean by that? You have energies like the Leo, like Udoka's a Leo, right? So that's a fixed sign, right? And so is Sengun, also a fixed sign. And you have two Aquarius and Amin Thompson and also Jalen Green, Aquarius, right? So fixed air quality, right? So the thing with the fixed sign is that they're constant, but they're very, very stubborn. But the key thing about fixed sign is that they get the job done. Just remember that. They get the job done to completion no matter what. If there's any fixed signs that, Scorpios, Aquarius, Leos, what am I missing?
Taurus?
Aquarius, Taurus. Those are the energies that completes things, that they will finish it. And it doesn't matter sometimes how long it takes. But the thing with the Rockets is that Udoka, him being a Leo with the Gemini moon, instills that into this whole team, and him being a defensive minded coach, that's the product that you're getting on the floor. And yes, they do win ugly because on the offensive side, they're not the best. They're sort of like that mid lower tier type of offense, right? But here's the thing with the Rockets. If they can get an energy like a Giannis or even a Darren Fox, who's their Sagittarius, because that's the type of energy that they need to help them go to the next level, or even an energy like Robert Williams. I know he's been on trade talks. Him being a Libra Cardinal can actually help a team like this, even TJ McConnell. I'm just throwing names. There's an Aries that can help a team like this. They're a move or two away from being elite, because I think this team, though they're very good on defense and they're fixed dominant, but they are predictable. When it comes to the playoffs, teams are going to figure you out fairly quick, especially in a series. But that's something that the Rockets lack. Right now, they're getting through this because they do a lot of one-on-one games, at a time. It's not series related, but synergy-wise, I would give them a C+. But defense are elite. Top 5 right now, A+ on defense, right? With the coach synergy, I give them a B+. The reason why, because the main influence in their team is Sengun, Green, Amin Thompson, and they're all compatible to Udoka, right? But even though they're all fixed signs, but they're all compatible to Udoka. Even Dylan Brooks, him being an Aquarius with the Pisces, so they're making it work. They're making it work, and then Easton off the bench does a great job. With his energy being that Taurus, another fixed sign, right? So So the rotational synergy it benefits them as well because that I give them a B+ on the rotational synergy, coach synergy, really, really good. So that's kind of where I'm seeing the Rockets at. But I do feel they're a move or two away from really breaking out that mediocre synergy on an offensive standpoint.
You know something I've noticed when we talk about on-court synergy. Every time Aaron Holiday is in the game, I feel like the ball is just moving a little better. Especially when he's playing with Alperen Sengun, when he's playing with Jalen Green, it just seems a little crisper to me, and I'm like, I know
I've
it's because Aaron Holiday is a Gemini.
He's a Libra Cardinal energy.
Why am I thinking Gemini?
Which is a perfect fit. You think about Drew Holiday, but which is a perfect fit for Sengun and Amen Thompson. That's an example of what I mean. Even Green.
Whenever
Green.
he's in there, it's just a little crispy. I'm not saying, oh my God, the team is slow, but it just seems like, okay, that was a nice, like it doesn't stop as much. I feel,
Yes.
It just a little, but obviously, Reece Shepherd needs to get some of that playing time because they need to get him up to speed, So that's why Holiday doesn't get as much. So I totally get it, but I just wanted to point that out.
but no, one of their most productive lineups, actually one of the best lineups in the whole entire game. It's actually not their starters; it's what they use within games, and they throw these little runs. It's subtle, but I've noticed it over the last several. The last month is whenever they use Tari Eason as a power forward, but look at the energies that surrounds him. Sengun at the center, and then they have Dylan Brooks, who's an Aquarius, Jalen Green, and then Amen Thompson. Now you have four energies that are compatible amongst themselves, plus Tari Eason's energy. So you have that 4-1 type of synergy on the court. But guess what? That's an A- synergy, and that works very well along with their athleticism. Because this is the type of team that has young talent that's really really good. I mean, they've had a lot of top draft picks last several years. So this is the type of talent. Yeah, their talent right now is sort of like the development phase. But yeah, year 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see them as like all-stars even. So they have a lot of talent oozing, even though that they're young. And athleticism for sure. So Houston is on the right path for sure. Just need a couple more energies to help them get them past that.
Just a couple more energies, and we should state, the Houston Rockets are 16-8 currently in the Southwest in the total NBA, which puts them second in the Southwest Division. The number one in the Southwest Division at 17-8 is the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are on some kind of run in the last 10, 9-1. And I know this was a team you told me. I don't think we said that on the record, or on the record, I should say, on this podcast. But I know in you and I's conversations, just talking, you told me, man, the Grizzlies, they got something going. Especially after they picked up Zach Edey. You're like, Zach Edey is perfect for them synergy wise. And I mean, let's just be honest. A healthy John Moran just makes for a better NBA product. He's just
exactly.
It's just something we like to see. And something that strikes me about the Grizzlies is, and this is what I think the Rockets eventually will be, right? Well, let's be honest, every NBA team wants to be there, right? The Grizzlies are the only team that are in the top 7 in the offense and defensive category.
Yep.
Top 7. That means that every single game you play against them, you're in for a tough one, because they're not just going to hit you on the offense; they're going to hit you on the defensive end.
Exactly.
And just some more stats. They're the only team that ranks in the top 5 in both field goal percentage in the paint, where they're fourth in the whole league, and percentage of their shots that come in the paint, they're also fourth. So they get to the paint, they score in the paint, and they prevent you from scoring. So tell me about the Memphis Grizzlies.
Memphis Grizzlies, underdog team. They're very under the radar team that no one probably paid attention to, but I've seen their alignment, and I was like, man, this is a very, very strong synergy team, right? I have a feeling that someone knows about the synergy analysis on the front office. I with the Memphis Grizzlies specifically, because the energy that they pick up is just so fitting. Okay, Taylor Jenkins, their head coach, he's a Virgo, right? So Virgos are very analytical. They pay attention to a lot of detail. But thing is, you need the right energy to kind of help him get execute his game plan, right? Guess what? Jaren Jackson, also a Virgo. You have Marcus Smart, Pisces. You have Bane, who's a Cancer, and Brandon Clark, who's a Virgo. All these energies fit Jenkins very, very well. Now, oddly enough, the energy that's offsetting is John Morant, but he's the only one. And that's perfectly fine, right? The reason why is because you still have enough energy on the court majority of times throughout the game to actually have great synergy. So throughout the game, they have an A- type of synergy, even though John Morant's that lone fire Leo energy mixed with a lot of these water earth signs, right? But also consider, remember when John Morant was out? Well, guess what?
Yeah.
They were still winning, right?
Yep,
They were still winning games because their overall synergy as a whole, I would say it'd be at least 10 players on that team fits Coach Jenkins very, very well. I mean, Kennard, Aldama, even Laravia, I can't pronounce his name. Laravia, he's a Scorpio. So they have a good overall team synergy. Their talent is not the best. They're sort of kind of, as far as for, comparing to the rest of the league, they're sort of like that B- range, because John Morant is of course they're most talented, right? Yeah. But I consider that, in my opinion, that's their range. But A+ synergy, A+ coach synergy, A+ rotational synergy, everything else is just perfect for them. And I think Grizzlies is one of those under the radar teams that could sneak up, and people will be surprised like how far they can probably even go. Like I won't be surprised if they even make it to a final. So that sort of thing, because they're just that, but they're just lacking a little bit of talent, in my opinion. Even though they have Bane, even though they have Smart, even though they have Jackson and Morant, but their synergy is it's elite.
Okay. Now, before we move on to the next team, which is going to be the Dallas Mavericks, I have to make a correction. So I said that the Southwest Division have 4 teams. I was including the Oklahoma City Thunder. I forgot they're not in the Southwest Division because they're obviously the number 1 seed right now in the Western Conference. But it's still 3 out of the top 6 in the Western Conference standing. That's still pretty good for the Southwest Division. And now we move on to the Dallas Mavericks here. Now, these next 3 teams, Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs, Pelicans, are kind of going to do just a quick wrap through what have we seen from Dallas this season, and based on their synergy, 16-8, they've won 7 in a row, so they're starting to come up right after having played in the finals, a long season, first time for a lot of these players. So what have you made of the season so far?
They're talent heavy. I mean, you have Luka Doncic and you have Kyrie Irving. That speaks a lot. But even though they are opposite energies, Kyrie Irving being an Aries, Luka Doncic being a Pisces, they are opposite in energies, right? But it's what their whole team brings to the table. Now, this team sort of favors Kyrie Irving a little bit more so than Luka Doncic, but having Luka being a mutable sign of the Pisces, see, again, mutable signs are sort of that adaptable type of energy that can sort of blend in, right, as needed, right? So that scenario works out pretty good because their rotational synergy is A+, because you have Najee Marshall who fits well with Klay Thompson and also Kyrie Irving, and Lively fits well with that group. Gafford also fits well with that core group I just mentioned. Dinwiddie as well fits with that core group, and everyone I just mentioned fits with Jason Kidd as well. Jason Kidd's an Aries, so the only offsetting energy currently would be Luka Doncic, the main one with a strong influence, right? Of course, you have Grimes that plays his role minutes, but that I think what makes them stand out a lot is that they're talent heavy. They have the talent, the really good elite talent. Kyrie Irving's probably one of the best, one-on-one. Offensive player in the whole entire league, along with Luka. They have 2 of the best. They can set up isolations all game and they'll beat you. That alone it's really, really good. Their overall synergy, not the best. I would give them a B+, mainly. Well, it's still good, but mainly because it favors a little bit more for Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving fits the synergy with the head coach, and also with their 2, Derek Lively and also Gafford fits with Irving and Klay Thompson, along with Dinwiddie. So you see what I'm saying? So they have a lot of enough energies to benefit Kyrie Irving, along with Luka Doncic being that mutable, adaptable. So Luka sort of just adapts with the flow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I see.
But this is a team that's a wild card, because if they face a team with the, in the playoffs that doesn't match up well, like has a better synergy, they're a wild card, so that's the scary part. So it just depends who they face.
Well, they are talent heavy, and we move on to another talent tall team in San Antonio Spurs of Victor Wembanyama. What can you tell us about the Spurs? We spoke about CP3 and how he's helped. They're 12-12, 500, very respectable 12-12.
Area 51. You know, yeah, Wemby being a Capricorn with the Gemini moon connects very, very well to Castle, right? Castle's a Scorpio. So when they drafted him, the first thing came to my mind, like, wow, it's a great fit, because I see the Spurs as a young developing team. And if you want to draft the right pieces around, you want to draft energies that fit, Wemby, right? So when they drafted Castle, first thing I said was like, wow, he's a great fit for them, because that Scorpio energy is an energy that naturally connects with an energy like Wemby, him being a Capricorn. So it's an earth sign, right? So they're all about success. They want to succeed first. They work hard now and they play later. That's sort of like their mentality. They're a very serious, mature sign, right? And then having a passionate, very powerful energy like Castle coming into the table with what he brings, a skill set, and that wing type of player fits with their mold, right? And then you just connect those two along with Vassell, Chris Paul, even Jeremy Sohan. Those energies, as I mentioned, they all connect very well. Sohan being a Taurus, and then Vassell being a Virgo, Chris Paul being a Taurus as well. So they have a good core synergy. I can't remember their new coach name, but do you recall?
No.
Yeah. So that's kind of like one downfall, because the main thing I look at that is just the experience, right? I mean, I feel like you just need a more experienced head coach. But aside from that, hey, no one probably expected them to be that where they're at right now. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. Well, obviously not. Who's the interim?
But
Well.
But yeah, I think it's just the experience. I can't remember his name right now. Yeah.
Now, a team that I thought because of their playoff experience were going to come out better is the New Orleans Pelicans. And New Orleans Pelicans, I mean, they're 3-20 in their last 20 games.
Yeah.
You know? And in between that, you have a 6-game losing streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another 8, 9 games. So, what's going wrong? Is it a synergy thing? Is it a talent thing?
No,
is it like you break it? What's up?
It's a health thing. I mean, they remind me of the 70s. It's plain and simple. I mean, the 76ers, they battled through a lot of injuries. Embiid plays like a little bit of games, and so does George. I mean, look at the Sixers. They're one of the worst teams right now. But if it wasn't for injuries, they'll be a very, very good team. Pelicans are that. They have a strong synergy, and it's unbelievable, because this is one of the teams I saw. I'm like, man, this is going to be a really good team as well. If healthy. But then no Zion. Ingram is at his days. Murray's been out in the beginning of the year, so they're just been battled through a lot of injuries. But not only that, another point that I want to point is that their head coach doesn't really mesh well with their core synergy, Willie Green being a Leo. So that could be another problem too. But I'm curious to see when they are healthy. Just because I'm saying they have good synergy with their core group, I also have to factor in their head coach. I mean, do they all understand the head coach point of view and his game planning, and will they absorb it well? So, Will agree in him being a Leo, they're a fixed dominant sign. They tend to be stubborn on their schemes and game planning, even rotational. If you look at someone like Darvin Ham, who also was a Leo, a lot of people are saying that he's fixated with having Taurean Prince wherever he is, or kind of favor certain energies that favor him. That's kind of what Willie Green is for the Pelicans. But I'm curious to see how he handles a healthy Pelicans team, because the core alone is really, really good to be very, very competitive. It's just the coaching synergy is not that good, C+. And then the rotational synergy is also another thing I want to point out, that is also not that good. So they are a good starting core synergy if healthy, but there's other factors as well. And they kind of fall into, they can have that kind of wild card group, sort of what the Sacramento Kings are facing right now. If healthy, that is.
There you go. That puts a bow on this week's episode. What are your final words, Zodiac?
Hey, follow us on Hoopstrology and also the Zodiac GM on Twitter X.
And follow me, Jesus _Acevedo Jr. and follow the Bayou Citian. And don't forget to subscribe.